Thank you everyone for being here. My name is Amir Lynch, and this is my company, Necessity Media, founded in November of 2024, and right here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So, I love movies. I'm sure a lot of people here probably love movies as well. And my love for movies comes from when I was a kid. I would watch movie marathons with my dad during winter break. We would watch trilogies of all kinds of movies like The Matrix, Star Wars, Indiana Jones. And these movies left a lasting impression upon me. I was able to see myself within these characters and really relate to them and their stories. And it made me realize how important representation within movies is. And it made me want to create a company where I could also create characters that looked like me and were relatable, and as well as tell amazing stories. So long term, I see Necessity making movies and television shows that impact people in the same way that I was impacted as a kid watching movies with my dad. So let's talk about where Necessity is right now. As of now, Necessity is in its infancy. So we have one show, we've done 2 productions, and we have 2 social media packages currently in the works. So first was the Necessity Talk Show. This is a talk show where I filmed and sat down with local entrepreneurs and artists and had them tell their story of how they were able to build their way up to where they are now and talk about common pitfalls and way that they got over it. I actually filmed that across the street at the Candy Factory in the Media Center. And I will give you guys a brief overview of the first season of the Necessity Talk Show. So the first commercial that we were able to put together, this was for a local Lancaster business called Rich Stitch Embroidery. Now, I want to state that this would not have been possible if it weren't for Andrew of Ngoma Films, as well as Child Rentals for providing the equipment. What I was tasked with doing was writing a script, scouting locations, assembling a crew, casting, as well as picking equipment. After that, we went into production. I handled a lot of the editing, and then we colored the project. So I would like to show you guys the first commercial project that we put together, just so you can get an idea of exactly what we can do at a high scale, at a high level. So next is content creation. As of now, I'm working with 2 businesses and created a custom social media packages for both of those businesses. I will show you one that's for a local sandwich shop here in Lancaster, Bobby Bay's. And I look forward to building and honing those relationships with those businesses and continuing to work with making scroll stopping content. So here's the first one for Bobby Bay's Sandwich Shop. So here's how we're currently operating. So I have a cold outreach as well as a warm outreach method. The cold outreach method is through cold email, as well as I have an automated SMS text message system that messages business owners directly to their phone through text messages. And cold email, obviously just emailing people. And then warm outreach through social media, where I reach out to people through my social media who own businesses and people who might know them as well, and we might have mutuals. For content creation, I develop filming days with the businesses, either filming the business process, as you just saw with Bobby Bay's, or I'll create a custom tailored business content kind of like for their business specifically. And yeah, so if you have a more niche audience that handles more content that might be different than like just putting a sandwich together, I come up with a script that would work for you and your business that you can then provide to your customers and clients and ideal customers. And then we handle the editing, take all the footage and then cut it into bite-sized content and make it as easy for the business owner as pressing upload. So for our high quality cinematic productions, so we go into scripting with brand in mind. After the script is approved, we then go into pre-production. This includes storyboarding, scouting locations, picking crew, casting, and picking equipment. Once all that is finished, we then go into the production. And then after the production wraps, we will immediately go into the edit. And after we get an edit approved, then we will finally color and then deliver to the brand. On social media, we're set up to go directly to the consumer. So that way we're building an audience organically that's already accustomed to the type of content that we're likely to create. So that way, when we move forward into creating movies and television shows later in the future, we already have an audience that's accustomed to the type of stuff that we like. And our website functions as an archive for our videos, as well as a space to acquire more business where prospects and people might search for us. So, our current growing pains. Right now, Necessity is having a little bit of trouble finding clients who are able and willing to move forward with high quality cinematic ad campaigns, as well as communicating that we're able to create something at a high level and, just kind of prove it without having relevant or big brands behind our previous catalog. Also, Necessity needs to help building better website infrastructure. As of now, the website was just built by me. And it's not bad for being built by me, but it could definitely use a little bit of work. I'm not gonna lie. But we also have a lack of equipment that causes us to have to rent and borrow, which is not ideal. Ideally, we would like to build up our reservoir of equipment. And yeah, I thank you everybody for listening and coming, and I look forward to hearing your questions and comments. Thank you.
I have a question about your emailing strategy and if you've implemented a drip email sequence. So one thing that I'm sure on your website you have, you pretty much showed us the proof right there in your presentation by showing us a sample of your videos. I'm wondering if you have an email series, a drip, where you can kind of showcase that, or you're doing more kind of one-off emails.
Yeah, no, I don't have a drip for the emails. I do have a drip for the text message campaign that goes out, though, to different business owners. So I can reach out directly to founders, CEOs, as well as people like digital marketing, managers for businesses. And there I have a drip mode. But within the ask, I guess I could say, for lack of a better word, I don't actually link the catalog because the catalog on my website, the videos are of such high quality that when I scale them down, they don't fit on my website, which is part of the whole thing that I was going at. But yeah, so I have a Google Drive folder that I've been sending people upon request.
Okay. Yeah, that's just one potential suggestion, especially if you kind of already have a drip sequence that you're doing in the SMS. Maybe, a lot of the kind of email software, besides just a Gmail, you don't even have to go the whole way up to MailChimp. I know there are free options where you can similarly build an email drip. It might be one way to kind of give them a series, right? Yeah, implement the same strategy you're doing in the SMS over email.
You never know if somebody's a no until they actually say no. Yeah. So the more an email is a black hole for a lot of people, as some in here may know from emailing me a couple times. So just making sure that you have that pace of follow-up and have them be interesting, not just either one simple line that says, hey, I'm just following up, or a video clip and say, hey, just wanted to send you a sample. Keep in mind that's super, super helpful in email as well. I did that for work 9 years ago, pretty regularly. So, but yeah, it worked. I wanted to ask you seem to have a relationship with a group that does video production, and has the equipment. I forgot what the name was there, but they...
Yeah, so all the equipment that you saw that was used for those are owned by Triode Rentals, which is a cinema rental shop here in Lancaster. I did work there for a small period, but I no longer work there at this moment. But it's a place where we can rent equipment, but it's
Well, so you had said the name of a different business too, who you subbed for on the one video, and
we were contracted by Ngoma Films, which is another production company here in Lancaster, and yeah, they kind of delegated some work to me to help me out, as well as to put something on my catalog.
Is that kind of an area of service that you could see yourself doing with other groups like that, contracting on the storytelling piece, creating the script, creating the process and flow, and they're working on the actual sort of execution of the capture? Because that sounds like at least a starting point where you can get traction without having as much of the burden on the equipment.
Absolutely, that's definitely something that I'm trying to get a little bit more into, building those connections with those businesses who would be able to provide me those opportunities. It's definitely something that I look into and that I'm actively trying to, do more of. In my text message campaign, I've been targeting a lot of production companies and marketing agencies as well, who would have that kind of work that they would be able to delegate to somebody in my company. So yes.
I really love the first video that you showed us. I was like, okay, I'm getting into this. This is stylistically really cool. Like, I like that it had a flavor to it. And I feel like that's really important in this huge sea of videographers, and everybody is learning more and more about the type of technology and skills that it takes to put on stuff like that. So it's cool to see that you have a really specific flavor to what you do that is uniquely yours. That's like really promising. I had a couple quick questions because I work for an agency that does contract out most of their work. I mean, they do a lot of their graphic design in-house, but everything else is contracted out. And so I'm curious do you have in mind what are the clients you're looking for? Like, are you starting with small businesses right now, or are you trying to work in more of like the cinematic, I don't know the terminology, but like more of like that type of world, or in a smaller branding type of world? Are you merging them together?
Yeah, so as of now, I understand where I'm at within the process, and I'm willing to work with the smaller brands as I build up and get better with my skills. Ultimately, my main goal is to make television and movies. So I want to use this time where I'm doing work with brands and making really cool concepts and videos and productions for these brands, as I also learn more about the craft myself, and taking partial money from the projects that I get contracted to do into funding our own independent projects that we can then release within our social media or our website and such. So I'm open to working with all kinds of brands despite the size as I continue to grow.
Got you. So you don't have like a specific dollar amount for projects that you're trying to hit?
Not at the moment.
More just trying to like build the portfolio or the catalog.
Exactly. Build the portfolio and get a little bit more momentum.
Okay. Gotcha. Cool. So yeah, basically I was just going to suggest, from what I've seen working in the realm that I am right now, the clients that the agency I work for usually have like a budget from somewhere to like 10 to 30K for a range of projects. And so they're usually contracting out their videographers, their photographers, they're doing all of the design in-house. And the main place that they go to look for people's work is LinkedIn, which is, dry, but whatever. And they go to LinkedIn, and then there's one or two other websites that I'll have to ask them about, and I can always email it to you too. But they are really looking at other catalogs that are making it easier for them to find people. They're not necessarily looking for like an individual. And sometimes they have people reach out to them like, hey, here's my portfolio if you're interested in it. But they are definitely utilizing services that are making it easier for them to find people. So maybe that's something you already do, like having it not just on your website, but on another database of some kind. But that might be a good approach to take just as a test run for a few months of, what if I just put all of my highest quality work on as many catalogs as possible, make it like super searchable, really easy to find. I mean, honestly, even utilizing ChatGPT to be like, what are trending tags right now that people are, or keywords that agencies are using to find work. That's honestly a good cheat code too. But if you're just looking for something super practical for right now, as somebody who works at an agency, that is the model that they're using, is who already did the work for me, and I can just type it into their search bar and come up with specific people. So hopefully that helps.
I'm so proud of you. And it was really great to even just see the growth in the progression of the work, and kind of based off really what everybody else was sharing. So from your different ways of reaching out to people, whether email and all that, where are you finding you're getting a lot more, what's the word, feedback or interaction with? And does that kind of point to, hey, like when I send this email, like they more likely are looking for someone to produce a commercial, or through text it might be?
So yeah, actually, funny enough, the text message campaigns have been the best for getting results compared to cold email. But I think that's also partially due to the fact that I can send out about like 300 messages a day, like 2 every minute. So that's been getting the best response. And then within that, I've gone from just businesses with over 10 plus employees to being more specific, such as like marketing agencies and video production, other video production businesses. And those have also given me a lot of great responses as well, especially the marketing agencies. Very interested.
So it was great to kind of watch a little bit behind the scenes, how just like hard you worked and hustled to get that entrepreneur interview series going. So congratulations on that. It really fabulous. And I'm glad that that happened. You had mentioned about like needing some resources, right? To help update the website or maybe even start getting some additional equipment. I pulled up, there is the PA Council of the Arts has a support for creative small business and creative entrepreneurs grant. It's not very big. It's usually about $2,000, but you can use it towards services to have someone help you with your website, or you can actually use it to purchase some equipment. So looking for grant options like this, you do not have to be a nonprofit. You are a for-profit for this grant. Would be a great place to start to even just like getting a little bit of resources to allocate to like a website and things like that. So definitely check that out. As well as the power of the network, like everyone was saying, like just getting out there, networking with everyone you possibly can network with. So kudos to just doing this tonight, because it's definitely like that step. And so looking for any kind of networking opportunity in Lancaster, we actually have a lot of really great companies that do some of the work that you want to tap into even more, that I know are just incredible collaborators. And I know Make Films has done some really interesting work in the film space too. So like, I don't know if you've sat down with Derek or not, but definitely someone to hit up for coffee, I would think. So just network.
The text service you're doing, are the phone numbers part of the service?
No.
Or how do you get those phones?
So I get it through like a data scraping tool where usually I'll get the information from people's websites, as well as LinkedIn is a great source for that as well. And I use this website. It's called like coldinfo.com. And I don't know how it works, but it gets me people's like phone numbers within certain like email, phone number, business information within like very tailored industries.
We are very proud of the work that Amir has done. You've heard he has tried everything, right? He's out there, he's doing everything. Is the oversaturation more of a hindrance? Is there somewhere he should be putting his time and effort? Should he be building his website? Should he be building an Instagram account? Should he be concentrating and focusing his effort on fewer things rather than oversaturating everything? Does anyone have any thoughts about that?
One, oversaturation is a thing that does happen in markets. However, it also generally means like steel sharpens steel. So, if you're in a market with a lot of creatives doing the same type of work, you're going to find that the quality of your production is going to be significantly better over time than somebody doing the same work in a market that does not have as many people doing similar stuff. So that's a really good thing if the goal is to, end up producing movies that, impact you the way that you were impacted growing up. The concept of, what to focus on right away, you got to eat before you can, get to the point where you make feature films that can impact people deeply. So there is an element of figuring out what the market, where there is a need in the market that you have great alignment with, that you can make a living doing it, so that you're making a living getting better at the thing that will allow you to do your end goal. So, being really good at a specific piece gets you in long term and then allows you to diversify afterwards. It's really hard to be all encompassing from the start, because you have to make a name for yourself, and you have to have people have you be the first or second, but ideally first name that comes to their mind on a specific item.
Really echoing what he had just shared too. But ultimately, I think it is about the relationships, right, that you get to build with people. And what makes Necessity so special, I mean, it is you. It's your vision. It's what you bring to the table. It's your unique perspective. And it's really getting out there and sharing with people what is that perspective and why is it, how is my experience, how I see the world exactly what your company or organization needs. So as you're out here and doing these calls, like them getting to know more of you, more of your why, and seeing your business is all going to help add. So then when it does come time to even these bigger collaborations with other media companies here, it's like, hey, we're working on this project. We know Amir is the one for this. Like you said, being that first thought. And my other addition too, on top of some of like the grants and stuff available, my other question was, have you gone through like SCORE or Assets or any of like the beginner entrepreneurship courses here?
No.
Okay. Well, great place to definitely start. We've gone through SCORE, we've gone through Assets, and there's so many resources are here. It's really kind of just about finding them, but also having you got people that will help you along the way and getting plugged into that, because there's the money in Lancaster is recycled a lot. And there are so many grants and opportunities you need a website, there's a grant for that. So definitely encourage you to look into that. I think Fig just announced, right? Yeah, Fig, the Fig Tree, I think it's like 5K about. Yeah. So those opportunities are there.
Very proud of you, man. So keep pushing. And to answer the question she was asking back there, definitely echoing what they say. When you're starting your own business, you did it because you got a passion. You've probably mastered some portion of that. You are going to be a jack of all trades when you start a business. There's a lot you don't know, which is where the assets and the SCORE and the mentorship really starts. So lean into that, lean into what you don't know, really embrace that, and then just find the people to fill in the gaps. But also learn to start like reading some trends. So especially if you're in an oversaturated market where it's like, oh, I'm trying to break through, but I can't break through. There's other markets all around you that are starting to up and come because of what's going on, that if you can get in there and make those relationships before maybe anybody else is starting, because everybody's so committed to that one spot, that's going to be a great avenue for you to really establish yourself and really kind of be able to cut your teeth a little bit without having all this other competition around you. So, I mean, Central PA in general is really starting to come up more and more. So spread your wings. I'm sure you go beyond just Lancaster already, but when you're in these neighborhoods, in these communities, really make connections there too, and really get to know those neighborhoods, get to know those new businesses. Go to a city council meeting, as crazy as that sounds, because you'll start to learn about all the things we were trying to do. And that's going to give you just that avenue to get into places. But yeah, it's an exciting time to start a business, and especially since you're young, you can adapt. So it's like, yeah, you're trying all these different things. When you find something that works, work the mess out of that thing, and then just take it to other places. Don't just work it in the one spot that you're at. Like, take those talents and then, go out to all these towns between Baltimore and Philly, or in between DC and wherever. Just spread, and don't be afraid of that, because you're going to meet so many people that's going to lead to so many different things. But I'm just encouraged that you're doing this. I mean, I know you've been pushing hard for this for a while, so it's exciting. Keep going. You're doing the right thing.
I wish that Austin wasn't holding a camera right now, because I feel like Austin probably has so much to say about this topic. Because for like the last few years, you've been building your business as a contracted videographer, photographer. So he's also a great person to talk to about those things, and like building your client base from scratch, and specifically how to do that through community. And I know Austin and I have worked together a lot in the sense of like, I need you to do this one specific thing, and I will carry like this weight, and I need you to carry this weight. That is, I think in this area, especially extremely valuable, is not trying to do everything necessarily all on your own, but like being smart and identifying other people's weaknesses. And if you can fill it, like that's where that relationship piece ties in, and building trust with them of like, you can trust me to do this well, and also I'm going to knock it out of the park. And now you're going to just like come to me for everything. And then, obviously your portfolio building on a larger scale works well for more of a national type base, but it's crazy, like the connections that are in this region that do extend nationally because of how close we are to, you know, other hotspots. So anyways, I don't want to keep repeating what everybody said.
But I wanted to piggyback on one thing that Helen said and also address the question that was asked kind of in the back of like, you know, where to concentrate the efforts. It's like, yeah, I think like LinkedIn, it seems like, oh, it's too corporate or it's not like the right kind of creative audience fit for like what I'm trying to do. But I would say like pretty much every social network or, you know, specific portfolio aggregation sites like Helen was kind of talking about, there might be ones that are like, I would try to, as many of these places as you can, take the extra 5 or 10 minutes to kind of copy paste what you're posting on certain platforms or websites where you're already kind of building your portfolio and kind of try to replicate it across all these other platforms. Because even if the LinkedIn, it feels like it's more disconnected with kind of the right target audience, you just never know kind of where it's going to hit. So I would say, you know, taking the extra time to replicate and copy paste what you're already doing into other, you know, centralized repositories of kind of content would be one thing that might be worth the extra effort.
Question is for you, because I think there's a lot of legitimate and practical things that have been stated that you can do. And I think this question is more internal. And then I think that from it, it will help to guide you on the different steps that people have kind of laid out. And that is like, what makes you different? What makes you unique? And I'll say this. So, you know, you're in a room full of content creators, right? You got Austin here. Hey, Brandon. You got Brandon. I'm sorry, I don't even know your name. You got Shelby and Jordan here, to name a few. If there's others, I'm sorry, we may not have met. But what makes you different?
Wow. Yeah.
Now, this is why I said it's internal.
Yeah.
Because I asked you that understanding that you hadn't answered that for yourself yet. Okay. So out of all of the other things that I've seen in the quality work that you have and things like that, I think that the answer to that will drive you on the rest of your journey. I can tell you what makes you different to me. Okay. And the thing is, like, if I'm going to Austin, it would be a totally different landscape from what he's doing. It has nothing to do with quality of work I've built with Austin, and I know what that is. I look at Brandon. Brandon's a college student who's working his way up in the game. That's unique to me, and he's really good. So if I look at his content and I say, man, this guy's in school, he's really good, I want to give that guy a shot. If I look at Shelby and Jordan, this husband and wife team that's like knocking it out the park, you don't see husband and wives that could work together like the way that they do. Then if you sit down and you talk to them, you're like, man, these guys are great. I really want to work with them. So even if I looked at the same things on the screen, by the time I get past the email, by the time I get past a text, if I can get to the core of who that business is or who that person is, it's going to take me to the next steps and further. And what I can say about you, man, is like, you're one of the most genuine, purest guys that I know, man. For real, I've been around the block and back again. So you don't even need to be anywhere that you're not already. Just be where you are, be who you are, and it's going to take you so far. I'm telling you this from experience, because when somebody can look at you and not see this guy pretending to be anything that he's not, you're gonna first of all break the sound barrier, right? If you're working on getting a web page, you don't have to start with, yeah, man, what happened was, man, I had this page right, and this, you can say, you know, I'm working on that, but let me show you what I do have. Or let me, and it will go a long way. So when you start to look at what makes you tick and your internal values, if you can, even however you got to the name, if you can make that the core of like your mission and where you want to go and things like that, I think it'll start to shape how it is that you you approach how it is. You're networking, but how is it you're networking and approaching people in the room, and you start to understand about yourself what is kind of sticking with them. And I say that from a place of really starting kind of the first steps of the film commission in this room, right? And if I could go, man, I can't even. It's been years now at this point. If I can go a couple years forward to where I am now with the film commission, the success of it has been because we're not trying to be Philly and Pittsburgh. And at first that was intimidating to look at Philly and look at Pittsburgh and say, well, how are we going to do this here? But when I started to understand the makeup of what it was that we did have, the people that we had, the resource that we had, and who we were as a film commission, it became very different. And I would say that's a huge asset that you have just to tap into it and figure it out more, and it'll go a long way.
Excuse me if I missed it, but can you tell us how you arrived at the name and the inspiration behind it?
Necessity. So the reason it's called Necessity was because I was trying to come up with a powerful name that could represent the business. And it kind of goes back to what I was first talking about how a lot of times you'll see Black people portrayed in media in a lot of negative aspects. And I felt like it was a necessity for somebody to kind of change that narrative of how Black people are portrayed within media. And yeah, it just kind of stuck. I wrote down a ton of names, and Necessity just kind of stuck. It was cool. It was easy to say, and I was like, all right, yeah, it stuck. So yeah.
And it really even has you reflect for what do I think about that's necessities in my life or even in my culture. So I think it's a great warm-up question to just share about. Thank you for sharing.
You noticed over the years that you wanted there to be characters that you could relate to directly. The work that you're doing has so much of the you in it, of trying to portray good storytelling characters that include people who people like you can feel represented by. That feels like your necessity. You need to get this out. That's when you were trying to describe that, you said you feel like somebody needs to do it. That's your internal necessity. That's what I heard you say. So that's it does feel powerful when that connection's there. I just gotta get it out. So yeah, that's I had the same question about the name when you first described it, but the more you've talked about it, it sort of told itself that this is your necessity to get it done.